Welcome to the Confident Motherhood podcast. I'm your host, Anne, mama of two, holistic pregnancy and pediatric sleep consultant, and the founder of Empowered Decisions. In our seasons together, I'm here to help you step into your inner confidence from pregnancy to motherhood. Whether you are preparing to meet your baby or integrating into new mom life, this is a safe space with education and support for your journey. Join me as we raise the vibe of our motherhood collective. Welcome back to the Confident Motherhood podcast. Hi, I'm Anne, your holistic pregnancy and infant and toddler sleep coach. And tonight we're talking about boy mom stuff. Now, this episode applies if you have sons, but you also have daughters. I say boy mom because I have two sons, and not the weird kind, because even the word boy mom carries some toxicity, especially on social media with like some weird stuff. That's not what we're talking about here tonight. I want to talk about two things. I want to talk about boys and learning about roles and responsibilities in the house. And I did a TikTok video recently talking about how I don't use the words help me with my boys, and the comment section popped off. And I want to talk about that and kind of share, because there was definitely a big response of like, oh my gosh, I hadn't thought about this. I want to implement this with my kids. And another side of that is just the desire that I have to raise emotionally intelligent young men. And I want to talk about that too. And there's so many different topics in mom life and single mom life and boy mom life that I always think about, but we're going to kick off tonight with these two topics. So let's talk about the TikTok. I did a video sharing that I don't use the words help me with my boys. And this has been something that's evolved for me over the past 2 to 3 years, where you just kind of naturally help me, fold the laundry, help me unload the dishwasher, help me bring in the groceries, help me. Now, this is not the same when you have a young baby or even a very young toddler, because they're a baby and a toddler. This was something I noticed as my son was getting like 4 or 5 years old. So I have an 8 and now 3-year-old, and they're about 4 years and some change apart, but my eldest just turned 8. So for the past, let's say 2 to 3 years, this has been a shift for me where I just noticed, I was like, help me this, help me that. And I started to think, I think that is one way that boys can start subconsciously believing that cooking and cleaning is a woman's job. Now, a side note about that, a while ago, I was in the kitchen. I think it was something to do with dinner. And my son made the comment like, well, isn't that your job? And triggered. And I was like, ew, what do you mean? Is that your job? But I was like, you know what? In all reality, like, he sees mommy doing all of these things. So why wouldn't he think that this is my job? So I was like, this is an opportunity for me to start teaching him that these are gender neutral roles. You have to learn how to clean up after yourself. You have to learn how to do your laundry. You have to learn to cook. And when you live in a house, when you live anywhere, whether he's with me or he lives on his own one day, he lives with his brother, that you just have to learn. This is just a part about taking care of yourself and taking care of your home environment are these things, but they're gender neutral. Now, there were some comments that were about, well, my children naturally see my husband do these things or their dad do these things, which is such a beautiful example, right? That is such an easy way. They always say, like, children don't listen to what you say, they watch what you do. And I think when boys and girls, but are growing up seeing a man cooking and cleaning and being an active partner and a teammate in all those responsibilities, they learn that naturally. But my boys have me, right? So they're learning those things in a different capacity. And I think that's why it's a little bit more in the forefront of like my thoughts of how can I help shape this in a way that, yes, they're seeing me do all these things, but they're also learning that these are just gender neutral. So I had that light bulb moment that day, and I was like, pump the brakes. I don't love this. And I changed it to 2 things. We have groceries to bring in, we have laundry to put away, to do whatever the case may be, or it's time. It's time to bring in the groceries. It's time to do this, to where it just kind of neutralizes that, like, this is what we're doing and this is what we need to do versus this is my job and you're helping me. Because I think on the flip side of this, not every woman has had this experience, but where you get to a place where, again, whether consciously or subconsciously, your partner does believe that it's your role. And I see this a lot on social media. I've been working with women for a very long time where it's like, just tell me, I'll help. What do you need me to do? Okay, you need me to do the laundry. You need me to do this. Just see, I did it. I helped you. But again, that means that somewhere deep down, there was a man or a young boy or a child that believed that it wasn't something that he was meant to do. Because young girls naturally, right? We go up with this, seeing our mom cook and clean, but not always with young boys. So once we got to that place, and I'm like, I'm going to neutralize this. It's we or it's time. It just felt so much better. And my eldest is 8 now. And this kind of, I think initially when I was starting to look at household responsibilities, around 4 going on 5, I was seeing him start to connect the dots on like, oh, I wanted this article of clothing and it's in my laundry. Okay, well, what do we do? And I was like, okay, what do we do? What do we do when it's time to do the laundry? Okay, well, we have to do it. And then obviously I would help facilitate, which I still do today, where it's like you're help facilitating, but I want them to own those things. I want them, they say, competence builds confidence. I want them to have the confidence that they can do their laundry. It's like, well, do I put this soap and do I do this? Like these are naturally things that we all have to learn to do, but I want this to be a foundation for them. I don't want it to be like I've done their laundry their entire life and now they're in middle school or high school or college and they're calling me like, how do I do my laundry? I cannot have that. I cannot have that. Not that I didn't call my mom a million times when I was in college, like asking her questions, but it's just like, I just want these things to be foundational and they just get it. So laundry was one of the ways that we did that. My eldest, now he knows how to unload the dishwasher and where things go. Because again, there's also stories and, we laugh online when we see it of like, if my husband has not asked me 10,000 times over the years where the can opener is or where the ketchup is or whatever. And this leads me to my next point about observation, because there was definitely a lot of responses of women that were like, yes, totally. Like I do this with my own kids and my boys, but I also encourage them to observe the house, right? And I'll do this with my boys. We live in a 2-story house. When I'm downstairs throughout the day, whatever it is, I'll put stuff on the stairs that needs to go upstairs. If you walk over that pile, it's going to irritate me so much, right? Whether it's a laundry pile, because my toddler likes to change clothes 1,500 times a day. It's a laundry pile or it's books that need to go upstairs, whatever it is, doesn't matter. It's on the stairs. So when we go upstairs at nighttime, okay, like it's bedtime, now we're heading upstairs to do bedtime routine. I always ask them, okay, let's look to see what's on the stairs. Let's look around downstairs. You tell me what you see, because I think that it's a learned skill. I think to observe and to see a mess that needs to be cleaned up or to see something that needs to be picked up, we have to observe it. And I love that there were so many comments that came back in that way, because I do this, we teammate, not just helping me thing, but I'm like, there's so much opportunity that I even saw after seeing those comments about just creating that observation in the house, which I think creates initiative. Because I hadn't had this specific observation conversation with my son, but I'll talk about initiative, right? And because I'm still kind of on the fence about the whole chores thing. Chores are important and he does chores, but just kind of labeling it in that way. And I want him to, again, just have this foundation of this is just what you do versus chore, which I feel kind of carries some sort of negative connotation. But anyways, the initiative conversation, when you see something, you don't have to wait for mommy to tell you like, oh, this needs to be cleaned up or this needs to be done. If you see it and you know how to do that, or you have questions about that, just do it or just ask. So I think when I saw those comments start coming in, I'm like, oh, that's really cool. I really love that we are in this conversation. We can kind of evolve what this looks like for children and for these young boys, that they can grow up and contribute and be teammates and just not kind of innately feel that it is a woman's job, which I love. The next part of this conversation is about the emotional intelligence. And I felt this way so innately having a young boy and even sending a young boy to daycare and preschool early on, that they don't get the same grace. They do not get the same grace with their big feelings that little girls do. And that's just the world, right? That's just how society works. And boys aren't meant to cry and boys can't be emotional and they're going to be soft. And I think it's all a bunch of crap. And so early on, I kind of always felt like I want him to know that his feelings are safe. I want him to know that at home and home base, that is allowed. And I'm a big girl, and in my big girl self and in my big girl feelings and in my big girl emotional capacity, that I can hold space for what you're feeling. Now, holding space for one child's feelings is a lot different than having to hold space for 2 child's feelings or 3 child's feelings. And as a single parent, like that definitely brings the heat on a day-to-day basis, because they're at different ages. They get emotional about different things. They have responses and feelings and opinions about different things. And I still have to create a space where they can feel their feelings. And I tell my eldest this, that feelings in a way are like the weather, like they come and they go. We're not meant to hold on to them. We're meant to feel them, effing feel them, and then let them go. And toddlers are such a good example of this, because one minute they'll be losing their effing mind about a banana or their shoe or the toy. And then the next minute they're happy, right? Happy little camper, because they felt it. It's not suppressed. And I tell him on the next phase of that is if we do hold on to them, they stay trapped in our body. And I think that always resonated with him early on. I'm like, oh, I don't want my feelings to get trapped in my body, right? Which it just sounds kind of funny, but it's true. Like if you suppress, it's going to affect you one way or another. When we hold on to those things, it usually ends up harming us and harming others. And, I've been on a healing journey for a long time now, but I want them to start kind of connecting with their feelings and being able to identify their feelings and then having coping for their feelings. Because I think we have generations and, large population of men in our society that we've all come in contact with in one way or another that have grown up not, having their feelings validated and, their emotions being suppressed and boys don't cry and suck it up and all these different things that didn't help them. It didn't help them. Like they just have held it in. So now they're grown ass men who are big mad, right? Like who don't know how to feel their feelings, who don't have emotional intelligence, who don't have the capacity to feel their own feelings, let alone hold space for yours, right? And I think that all starts young and it's not fair. And I think there's a lot of grown men who are trapped in young boys' bodies because they just never had that. And I'm like, no, like that ends here. And having two boys of my own, it's really important to me to do any and all parts that I can to just create that emotional safety for them in the house and know that they can bring those feelings to me. Now, in full transparency, it's not easy to hold space. Like mom life is so much and it's so stimulating and it's so all these things that when you're having to then hold space for your children and their big feelings, it's not always easy. So don't get it twisted. There's not times in my mind where I'm like thinking to myself, dude, are we really crying about this right now? Like, is that really what we're doing? But it's not my job. It's not my job to decide which of his feelings are valid and which of his feelings are not valid, when sometimes I'm like, oh, I completely understand where you're coming from. And other times I'm thinking to myself, like, this is just not a big deal. And it's like, we don't need this right now. But that is where I believe our children are our mirrors and they are our healers, because these boys reflect so much back to me that then teaches me about me and whatever work I need to do and wherever I need to go with them. Like, why was this so triggering for me, right? Why was this like, it was like harder for me to hold space for this versus this. So I think it's just motherhood and parenthood is just constantly an evolution and a journey. I just want them to know that our feelings are our feelings. We feel them, we let them go. It's not my job to judge them, but I do want them to learn to feel validated and not to fear their feelings. And I think oftentimes that's what happens too, is we think that if we feel bad things or we're feeling it all, that it's a bad thing. It has taken me a long time. Like I can suppress my feelings with the best of them and just shut it down and pack it up and put it to the side. And I've got shit to do and I need to blah, blah. And really, I only end up hurting myself in those cases where I have these feelings that I have not felt and I just need to feel them. I need to let them come to the surface. I need to let them go. And it really just helps all of us, like in all of our journeys. So I have so many mom life and boy mom topics that always come to mind. So if this is of interest to you at all, let me know if I'm on the right path. Let me know if you want to hear more, if there's certain things that you're experiencing as a parent, as a girl mom, as a boy mom. And I always say, like, whether you are a mom to both genders or just boy mom, like these conversations always are going to cross over. That's why I say, like, this is not toxic boy mom stuff. I just happen to have boys, and there's always so many things that come to mind when I'm thinking about this stuff. So I hope that this episode was, I don't know, entertaining, insightful in some sort of way. But until the next episode, lots of love. Whether you're a tired mom struggling with your little one's sleep or an expecting mom looking for empowerment and advocacy as you prepare for birth, I'm here to show up for you with proven strategies and education to elevate your journey. You deserve to feel heard and given the tools to have success. Mama, you do not have to navigate your pregnancy or sleep struggles alone. Head over to empoweredwithann.com to discover how we can support you. Confidence, empowerment, and peace are just a click away.